Alright, so here's my quick review of the Garmin Echomap 50S. Just got it a couple weeks ago. So far it's proved to be a fantastic little unit. Been a big fan of Garmin in the past, mainly for their GPS. But their fish finders seem to have come quite a long way these days. Let's run through some of the features. We'll take a look at the charts to start with. They have a couple different charts. You have a perspective 3D, which is kind of a over the head, almost like an airplane type thing. I don't really use that too much. Maybe if you're navigating in kind of tight waters. There's the Mariner 3D. This is more water level. Gives you the if you got hills on the side and whatnot. Fish 3D. This can be really cool if you're going through channels and trying to fish currents and whatnot. You could really see what the bottom contour is. Let me go back here. Where I'm doing this, there's not a whole lot of change in the bottom contour. So, and then we have the navigation chart. So I have currently up here. You could have all sorts of data bars. Another 3 down on the bottom, but I generally have my GPS speed. I always have my position up, that way if I ever need it quick, it's just right there for me. And device voltage. The voltage to me is important because quite often I'm running off a kicker motor, which doesn't put out the right amount of juice as your big motor, so it tends to save a little bit. It keeps me on the safe side so my battery don't go dead. Here's what I love about my Garmin's. It's the pan. The pan and zoom. You could take a look. Maybe you're on the phone with someone. They give you some coordinates. As you move the cursor around, gives you the coordinates that are there. It also gives you the distance, which is really nice. So, for instance, if I wanted to go right here to this marker, I can see that it's 6.33 miles away, the coordinates of it. This I'm going to show you the number one feature I think of Garmin that a lot of the other units don't have is if I go to a point like that and I hit select, it gives me options. I can create a waypoint, which all the other units, the Lowrance and Furuno and stuff like that, you actually have to create a waypoint and then you have to go through the menu and find that waypoint. So what I like about Garmin is you go to navigate to, and you go to either route to or go to. We're going to use go to. I don't really use routing here. If you have a bigger boat, you might want to use the route function, but you just hit go to, and that's it. It creates a direct line for you, tells you the distance, what time based on your speed, about you're going to arrive, the bearing to get there, and then my normal information up here. We'll zoom out a little bit. You could see our destination up here. Super great. You don't have to create a waypoint. There is no waypoint made, so I use it a lot because I'll see a specific depth or a drop off that I want to get to. And let's say I want to go right here. So to get there, I hit select, navigate to, and go to again. And there we go. It just created a new route. And that way you don't have hundreds of waypoints every time you want to point the boat to go to a certain place. The other thing is if you're using autopilots, you don't want to have a bunch of waypoints for your autopilot. So this way you can just have select to go to there, and then this tells my autopilot, okay, let's go. We'll head to whatever this point is. So let's get back out of here. This is kind of the big screen. Let me see, navigation chart. If I go to menu to just get out of this, I go to stop navigation. Gets me back to my normal map. Now we're just cruising along again. So we're going to go back a couple screens. So this is like the home screen here. We're going to take a look at the Sonar. The Sonar I'm really impressed with. It seems to have come a very long way since the older units. Other than the black boxes. The black boxes all work pretty decent. But what you can see with the sonar, let me see, you have your frequencies, that this particular one's 77 and 200. You know, what do those frequencies mean? So 200 doesn't go as deep in the water column as, say, a 77, especially in salt water. But 200, you're going to get more definition, more, it'll give you a little better picture of things. The other thing is, and it depends on your transducer, but 200 kilohertz is generally a much smaller cone, right? Whereas 77 and say the 50s, they're nice wide cones, so you cover more area with the 77 than 200. So people sometimes think, okay, well, the 77 actually works better, but in reality, especially if you're bottom fishing, the 77 just doesn't quite cut it. It also shoots through some things. You know, this is like smaller bait fish. You'll shoot right through with the 77, whereas the 200 kilohertz, you'll actually see them up on the screen. We're going to do 200 kilohertz for now. We're going to go back to menu, the gain. It actually does a fairly decent job with the gain. As you can see, we changed the gain to automatic high. But no matter, it doesn't matter the unit, no matter what I've ever used. I've always done the gain myself. It's really important to be able to do that to get the best performance out of your unit as you can. If you look, as I adjust the gain, if I go down a little ways, you could see, you know, we don't get the same targets as we were originally getting. And if I turn it, let's say, all the way up, my screen just fills up. And a lot of this could just be clutter in the water. So what you want to do is you want to back off that a little bit. And what you're trying to do is just enough so that you don't see the clutter in the screen, which works out pretty well. One thing that, let's see. One thing that Garmin has, they call it post-processing. So in a lot of other units, when I adjust that gain, it's only going to adjust all the new window that's coming across. Whereas with these newer units, it stores it so that you can see all the way over here. You see, you can where you were to be able to see what you were marking back when, not just what's upcoming. Let's see. We're gonna switch back to auto gain here. We're gonna go to medium. We're gonna go back to menu. See range. Range could be huge. So when you set your gain, you're setting it for a specific range. When you go into a different range, you have to readjust your gain. Just kind of nature of the beast. So I like to use manual range. That way my gain's exactly where I wanted it. Because if you look, the range keeps changing on this. I have it in auto range. And I'd much rather it to where my gain's always perfectly set for it. And if I go into a different depth, then I just have to adjust it. A little more work, but you know, if you want to get everything out of your unit, that's kind of what you got to do. Here's your zooms. You can do a bottom lock. Let's see. We're going to kind of go back here. You can see, you know, if you're, say, in 43 foot of water, and you really only care what's sitting on the bottom, you can zoom way out and only see what's on the bottom 15 of the water column there. So let's go back. Go no zoom here. We're going to go back a window. We're going to go to split zoom. What this is showing us here is the total depth here. And then let's say you're in, say, 100 foot of water and you want to be able to see both the top and the you know, the bottom, say 20 feet or so. So it zooms on the bottom 20 feet on this side, and this side does from top to bottom. And you could see that the targets are showing up a little bigger over here. It's only 40 foot of water, so if we're a lot deeper, you'd notice it more. But the targets, you'd be able to see fish on the bottom easier. So let's go back a screen, split frequency. So this is where you can see the difference between 200 kilohertz and the 77 kilohertz. Let's see. You see how things are showing up much wider, much larger hooks. than you're getting over here. It's just the fish on the outside is what you're seeing. So when you have that wider cone, you get to pick up fish more to the sides. When fish are under the boat and you're going over them, you're marking them for a longer period of time also. But if you look, see, there's a lot lighter marks here, whereas you see a much better mark over on the 200 kilohertz. Let's go back again. And the flasher. So those of you that want instant display of what's underneath your boat, you could use the flasher. It's kind of old school. A lot of guys still like it. They use it a lot for ice fishing. Not that you'd use this, but it is a useful tool. Let's go back. This is a really cool feature I like, data graphs. So when I'm running up on plane, I like to pay attention to the surface temperature, but also the depth. And you don't always want to just stare at it. You're running, you don't pay attention for say 10 minutes. You can always go back and take a look at this and see, oh wait, when there was a drop off to say, say from 50 feet to 100 feet, when I went over that drop off, the temperature dropped considerably, say 5 degrees or something. So I'd want to, in my type of fishing, I'd like to go back and check that out and see what's going on there. We're going to go back again. Sonar recordings. This will actually record some of your sonar, so you could go back and review it later. Kind of cool if you want to show your friends, what you were seeing, or go back and show around marks how things were kind of working out there. We have combo screens. Let's see. So this shows you have your navigation on top, fish finder on the bottom. Kind of squishes that fish finder on the bottom a little bit. Let's see, we'll go back. This screen you could do both the log and the fish finder. Kind of useful, especially when you're, if you're running out and you want to be able to see if you're running over bait. Let's say you have a through haul transducer, you mark great at 20-30 miles an hour where you can actually mark bait. Then you get to see both at once. When you are running up top, you want to make sure that while you're up there to adjust the gain, because this doesn't do a very good job at adjusting the gain at high speeds. You still want to be able to do it manually. Then they have some custom where you can pick and choose what you want to put in there. We have gauges. We just have normal numbers if you want. I have trip odometers. The compass, I've used this in the past. I'm a north up kind of guy, so I read maps pretty well. But some of you might like the compass, especially if you need to go, say, on a 60-degree heading and make sure that you work that way. For some of you sailboat guys and whatnot, there's all sorts of other data that you can pull out of it. The wind, a couple of those screens, and environment. I don't use any of this. I don't have the equipment for it, but some of you may. That's kind of the gist of this. So let me go back to charts. One other thing is if we want to make a waypoint, either can browse to something, hit select, create waypoint, or if you just hit mark, automatically creates a waypoint for you. And if you want to change some things about that waypoint, you can. So you go to edit waypoint, you change the name, symbol, depth. One thing this has too is Wi-Fi. I have it hooked up to my iPad, and what that does is I can transfer the waypoints and the tracks directly in between my Garmin. It's called Blue Chart. For the iPad, it's the program Garmin Blue Chart. Between there and my fish finder, so when I leave the boat, I can go through, download it, go review it later if I want, or if I put new waypoints in, I'd be able to put the waypoints in at my house, come down to the fish finder and just drop them back in place. So that's it. Echomap 50S. Hope this helps you. I'm real happy with the unit. All these new units, they work great. You know, the GPS in this is fantastic. It updates apparently once every, or 10 times every second, whereas before it was like once every second. I'm not sure how big of a deal that is, but Garmin have always been fantastic for GPS. So that's all I got. Talk to you later.